Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a stainless steel 500-piece limited edition new for 2021. This is the Blancpain tribute to 50 Fathoms No Radiations, also known as the No Rad. This is the 40.3mm case that's become quite popular in recent years as Blancpain seems to step away from the 45mm standard of the 5015. We are looking at more traditionally sized 50 Fathoms dive watches, and this one traditionally sized as it references a timepiece built in the 1960s for the German military, hence the assurance on the dial that there is no radium lume. Now the timepiece, of course, today uses superluminova, and we'll see that later in the video, but the bare dimensions start with the 40.3mm steel case, which is 13.4mm thick and 46.1mm from lug tip to lug tip with a 20mm spacing between the lugs. It is much more wearable than the reference 5015 and even the reference 5000 bathyscaphe. This one suitable for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, very comfortable, and a unisex dive option. It's not that thick. It sits only about 13mm above the wrist, and you can see part of that is the domed crystal profile, so it really is quite thin for a 300-meter dive watch. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see vintage inspired. This is the design that would have been known as the Tropic strap. You can see a combination of serrations on the edge with a crosshatch and some perforations. There are also hollows on the underside, so not only does it vent the wrist quite well, but it allows an air pocket to build up underneath to avoid trapping wrist heat and sweat. Simple, no-nonsense, vintage-inspired steel pin buckle. The watch is still modern and luxury, which is why it's all of high polish with the Blancpain brand marquee on the side. You can see the lugs are broken out from the case flank, so this is anything but a Rolex clone. Blancpain with the 50 Fathoms back in 1953 beat the Rolex to market by a few months, so it will always be remembered as the first modern format dive watch, beating the sub again just by a few months. When we talk about the original modern format divers, we generally talk about those two. Format used on this series since 2003 with the 50th anniversary model, this lovely cambered sapphire crystal on top of the bezel. That allows the entire bezel to be lumed because the lume is protected by that 9 on the Mohs scale, superbly hard sapphire. Sapphire is even more scratch resistant than ceramic. We then have a vintage-inspired cambered bubble-like sapphire to evoke a plexiglass, and the original would have been plexiglass. The dial is a matte black base with a sort of faux tina, which is a nice complementary color, but faux tina can be contentious. I'm not going to express an opinion other than to say in this particular application it does seem to work. A lot of colors on this dial: white, black, ecru, yellow, and red. And of course the No Rad is the focal point of the dial, but it also includes a modern date convenience with white lacquered hands that stand out nicely against the black base. Flip it all over, caliber 1151 based on the long-running Frédéric Piguet 1150. This is the 1151, and it features a quick-set date, though not hacking seconds. You can actually apply a little back pressure when setting the watch and effectively stop the seconds hand. Twin mainspring barrels, 100-hour power reserve, and of course you can see the movement has been modernized. It's not a conventional 1150. It has been adjusted in 6 positions, one more than a standard chronometer. It has a recessed bolt screwed balance and a free-sprung index for shock tolerance and precise regulation, and also uses an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring. The 28 jewel movement, of course, is hand finished. It has an 18-karat gold triple finished rotor with a combination of satination, media blasting, and anglage on its edge. And you can see the anglage on the movement is quite bright, broad, and mirrored. It's not a crude machined bevel as you'll find even in many high horology watches. This is the real thing. If it's mechanically started, I can say by the looks of it, it's finished by hand. The locating pegs of the movement are also polished on their top. All screw heads are black polished, and then there is a broad and luminous set of Côte de Genève, the waves, across the bridges with satination on the wheels, and then you can see there's a little bit of engine turning on the base plate. All in all, it is a very handsomely finished and hand-finished movement with individual numbering on the reverse side in the series of 500. Technically speaking, it still has a lot to give. Twin mainspring barrels means that there's not a huge surge of amplitude when the watch is fully wound, and it doesn't lose a ton of amplitude after the 24 hours or 48 hours elapsed mark, at which point single barrel movements like Rolex calibers can struggle a bit with timing consistency. So the twin barrels here are also assisting in that regard. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And there is your lume shot. I promised you a fully lumed bezel, and Blancpain has delivered.